there, today I'm going to be sharing the BJU Press 7th grade grammar. Now they have grammar and writing all together in one course. So I'm not going to be sharing the distance online learning. If that's what you're looking for, this video, it might be helpful, but it's not exactly what you're looking for. So the online learning is, as the name implies, it's going to have like a teacher. It's going to have specific lessons. You're going to log in, watch the video, and then do the coursework that they assign to you. What we're doing is just independent, 100% independent. My daughter has the workbook, and then I have the teacher key, the answer key, and it also has like instruction as well. And so that you can get a really good idea. When I was looking last year for 7th grade for BJU Press, I could not find videos that showed really what it looked like, and so there might be some now, I don't know, but last year when I was looking, I couldn't find any. So hopefully this will give you a really good picture of what BJU Press 7th grade will look like. So I'm going to turn the camera around. You will get a good look inside, and if there's any questions, please let me know.
We've only been doing this for a couple weeks, so I'm not 100% proficient at this, but I've used BJU Press before. Last year, I used it with both of my girls, and we're using it again. So how this is laid out, the chapters are one chapter. It's very strong in grammar for this year. So there's 18 chapters. So sentences, verbs, nouns, pronouns, and then you get to a writing chapter, narrative writing, adjectives, adverb, phrases. Informative writing is your second paper. Clauses, verbal, subject, verb agreement, pronoun, antecedent, agreement, argumentative writing. That's the next one, the next writing paper you will do. And then pronoun usage, punctuation, capitalization, writing project, creating an article. So there's going to be 4 main writing chapters that they will just designate an entire chapter to writing. However, that's not the only writing they're going to be doing. Every single chapter is going to have a writing workshop. So this one is using effective fragments. This one is writing strong action verbs, as well as using a variety of sentence patterns. This one is using vivid specific nouns. So you can kind of see, and I'll show you in a second how that's going to work. So they're still getting writing practice. It's just not an entire designated paper. The first thing my daughter noticed, she was like, these graphics are really cool. I really like this one. And I don't know, I know it seems small, but something little like that I think really helps hold their attention and helps, I don't know, kind of make it something as mundane as grammar just a little bit that much more interesting. Okay, so for the elementary years of BJU Press grammar, it was just like a front and a back, front and back, front and back. These lessons are going to be laid out a little different. Some of them may be 3 or 4 pages, but they don't have like an entire page of grammar. So here's what she would do is she would read this to herself. They give an example of what declarative sentences are and interrogative sentences and examples and things like that. And then she's going to practice the skill. She's going to review the skill and then use the skill. So this is all one lesson, and it'll show you at the bottom. And so she's like, well, how many pages should I do? I say, just look at the bottom. There's 1 lesson per day. And then she goes on to the next. This is subjects and predicates. And so the lessons will vary. This lesson was a little bit shorter. So she just does a lesson a day. This one's a little bit longer, it's looking like. So again, she does this pretty independently. It looks like there's a lot more sentence writing this year than there were in previous years. You can see like this is kind of one lesson. So I don't always make her write every single sentence, and you'll see that kind of as we go further into it. But just as long as she gets the idea and she's done enough that she can show me she knows what she's doing. Okay, so now we're at a writing workshop. So we're 7 lessons in. So what I'm going to be doing is using effective fragments. It's going to be kind of talking about why you use effective fragments and how they can work to make your writing more interesting. And then they always have a mentor text. This is something that they refer to so that they can see how it is applied. So she would look at all of these and then what the action is, what she would be doing. So the question is, if you have an important message to share, why is it important to love your audience in delivering that message? Include one effective fragment in your response. So this isn't super formal. It's not like it's an outline and you have to revise it. And I mean, you can make it that way if you want. I keep this a little bit informal, but it's just giving her that practice so that she's just keeping up with her writing skills, just a different form. So you kind of get an idea what that's going to look like. And then it's back to more grammar sentences, and then chapter review. We use these as like a test. I don't give her a grade, but instead of having tests, I just say, hey, do this whole chapter review, and then I check it over. She corrects any mistakes that she has. And then now we are on to, oh, look at that one. That's fun. Chapter 2, which is on verbs. So they're going to be laid out very similarly. This is the writing workshop for this one, and it is talking about writing with strong action verbs. And so it's going through all of this. This is going through the mentor text, showing which action verbs are very strong. And then from a biblical worldview, this is Christian, by the way, in case you didn't know that already. Now you do. This is definitely a Christian. So if you're looking for secular, this is not something that you're going to be interested in. But if you do want a Christian perspective, this is going to have that all incorporated throughout. From a biblical worldview, how could presenting truth in interesting ways help to talk to others about God? So in this, they want you to use vivid verbs in your writing workshop. And then you're going to go through, again, there's another writing workshop in this chapter. So there was 2 in this chapter. And you can just use the book. I highly, highly recommend the teacher edition just to save yourself like from having to go through all of that. Unless you're just like love grammar, then go for it. But I am doing the teacher edition, and so I'll show you that in just a second. But it's just going to expound upon this writing workshop. So this is kind of what the grammar is going to look like. Now let me show you, chapter 5 was a writing chapter. Okay, this is narrative writing. Now, again, we have not got to this, so I'm not there yet, but we have done their writing in the past, and I thought it's just laid out very thoroughly. It does it step by step. It's the same every single time, and so it always starts off with kind of an introduction of what you're going to be doing. They always give an example. So in 7th grade, they call it a mentor text. And then in the little paragraphs, they have different examples. So like note how and where the setting is introduced. What is it? And so it just gives you, kind of talks and walks through it with you so that you can see what the narrative writing is about. So this one's quite long. Theirs is not expected to be this long. And then planning. So it's going to kind of show you through. This is more, I've noticed in 7th grade, their step-by-step is more like a paragraph. It's more written form than just like this step, this step, this step. So, but it's showing you like we're in the planning phase right now, and then drafting, revising, proofreading, publishing. So what this is going to look like, gathering information, narrowing down a topic. And then here they come back to, okay, characters. This is more like a table format, characters, the conflict, the beginning. So what is that going to look like for you? Now we're in the drafting portion of it. So those were a couple lessons, in case you're like, well, how many lessons was that? That was lessons 40 and 41 is you reviewing this. And again, you can go as fast or slow as you need to. This is 42 and 43 is planning. Drafting is lessons 44 to 46. And then revising is 47 to 48. So they're basically just a guideline. Take this time. So it's not like you have to do one every single day and hurry up and get it through. They expect you to take your time. Publishing is lessons 50 to 51. So they anticipate you taking your time with this. You don't have to, oh, that's creepy. You don't have to like hurry and rush through and just try to get one of these done a day. You can take a couple weeks to get through this because they want this to be thorough. They're only doing a few formal writing essays or whatever it is, papers per year. And so they want you to take your time with it. And then we're back to adjectives and the grammar aspect of it. So that is going to be what the student book looks like. It's going to look the same all throughout. It's going to have the little writing sessions. It's going to have mostly grammar. And then at the end of every chapter, every grammar chapter is going to have a chapter review that is just going to kind of sum up what they have learned so far that you can use as a test, or you can get your own tests. We don't have the tests, but you're more than welcome to do that. So the teacher edition is going to be used. I use it again for just basically for the answers, but I also do it for the writing portions because I like to see what they have written, just anything extra. Because it kind of holds your hand more. So this is the lesson plan overview. If you want to kind of break it into something more formal and written out, you can see what that's going to look like there. So you can kind of pace what you want it to be like. Okay, let's get into this. So here we go. This is going to have lesson 3. This is conjunctions. So your book is going to look exactly like what their book is. This is their book, only it's going to be like a little snapshot, and obviously the red is what is going to be what they need to have. So I don't teach the grammar to my daughter. She just uses this. But if your child needs a little bit of extra help or anything, or you just really want to do that instruction, so here's a game if you wanted to do the lesson. A game to kind of review things, and then some instruction here along this paper, along this side, and then use the skills to do this lesson. Okay, so that's kind of how a lesson would go. If you're like, hey, how would I go about doing that? I want a little bit more than is just written right here. It's all here in the instructor manual and the teacher edition for you. And every single lesson is going to be like that. So that's kind of what this is going to look like. And then for the writing workshop, it just kind of helps you engage. Now, again, this is written for a classroom setting, for a Christian school setting. So it's how the students all work together. Well, and when that's the case, it's usually me and my daughter kind of brainstorming together. And then it's just kind of tells you what to do as far as, so the writing tip for using effective fragments. So we might work together on this to come up with a couple of effective fragments just so that she gets an idea. And then she would do her writing. So they give you a little bit more here if you want, so you can kind of flesh it out a little bit. And again, that's really up to you how much or little you want to delve into it. You can keep it just strictly exactly what's on here. But I kind of like this just so we can talk about this and just get into it a little bit deeper. Again, I keep it pretty informal. And this is really the only time I'm getting in this teacher book to actually instruct. Otherwise, for the grammar part, for that, she's doing it on her own. This is kind of when we go over it together, and it just kind of helps because she loves writing, but she hasn't, just since it's something new, like using an effective fragment, for example, she can do it on her own. It's just, I like to do this with her so that she kind of feels like she has a little bit more instruction. So that's how that's going to work. And again, there's 2 of these books. And then they have teacher resources in the back here that you can see. And then they have rubrics as well. So if you're like, well, once we get to the planning part of it, or the writing part of it, how do I know what to do? That's, for me, that was my biggest thing. How am I supposed to do this? what do I know how to grade? Like, what do I take off? What am I looking for? They're going to show you exactly what it's going to be. So the setting, okay? Does the narrative have a clear and definite setting in time and place? 1, 2, or 3, obviously. The highest you get, the higher you get, the higher your score is. And so it's going to go through all that characterization, sensory details, and it's going to ask you a question. So you're not just like, does it have sensory details? No, it's going to say, does it draw the reader in with description and imagery? And so that you're kind of knowing exactly what you're looking for: conflict, dialogue, plot, point of view, resolution, style, and then grammar usage, spelling, because you want to, make sure they're doing all of that, capitalization and punctuation. And then they get a 1 if it's kind of like, if they have misspelled words. If they do pretty good, 2 if they get everything right, they get a 3. So this is going to show you exactly how to grade for that part. And then this is the second part of it. So it's going to be the same exact thing, the same exact layout. I have my little pencil here to show me where. So this has instructional aids as well for these chapters. Okay, so like when they're doing sources, because they are going to have to cite sources, it's going to show you exactly how to do that. This is the argumentative thesis. So this is exactly, the argumentative rubric. This is exactly what they're going to be looking for. For the thesis, they're going to have an outline. So you're going to have to grade their outline, and then the actual paper. So you're going to have to do, this is the rubric. This is exactly what you're looking for when you get to that argumentative chapter, which is, I believe, chapter 14. And then handling of sources. So how did they cite their sources? So this is definitely getting into making sure they're really having formal writing. They have to have a thesis. They have to have an outline. They have to have the paper. So it's not just like little fluff pieces. The ones they're doing are definitely, middle school age appropriate, and then they will show you exactly what you're doing. They'll give you examples of what it looks like. So that is what the 7th grade grammar is going to be looking like, writing and grammar. So far, we're liking it. I will give you guys more of an update as the year progresses. But if you want to check it out, BJU, I always have the links in my description if you want to see what they are all about. We really like it. We know it's a solid program, and so we're enjoying it so far.